Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Knowledge Word Sharing Season 3. Today our interview guest is Pauline Chan, an NLP Master Trainer, NLP Coach and also a close friend of mine. So Pauline, welcome to Knowledge Word Sharing.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Pauline, I need to say a little backstory on how we met Pauline. She organized a workshop on NLP, and I was thinking, since I'm doing coaching, I was thinking, why don't I inculcate NLP in my coaching? So that's where I got to know Pauline, Coach Pauline, and she's happy enough to give me a little preview on timeline therapy, and just a little preview, and I felt like oh my god, it gives me a big difference, because before this I used to have a very negative inbuilt negative thinking from childhood. So just a little preview, and I can see the after effects immediately, good things that happen to me. I know this may sound like magic, but it's not magic. It's really happening, and I'm the testament of it. So thank you, Coach, for what you've done. Yeah. So Coach, for the benefit of the audience, can you please just share a bit about yourself? Where are you from? Just a little background about you.
Yeah, sure. So hello everyone, I'm Pauline. So I'm born and bred in KL, and right now I'm in the business of doing NLP training as well as coaching. So I do such a thing called breakthrough coaching, in which this was what Yuva was experiencing before. So that's where he experienced the transformation, the breakthrough, as well as the removal of the biggest blockages of his life, which is the negative emotion. All right. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, maybe a bit more deeper, where are you from? Your family background, just a bit by yourself, a bit.
Alright, good. So like I mentioned, I'm from KL. So before I was actually starting my business as this what we call NLP trainer and also coach, I was actually working in the corporate. And I have been for my last employment before I decided to start my journey as an entrepreneur. So I was actually working in the corporate as a trainer, and that was 5 years before I finally decided. So that was a little bit about my background. And prior to that, I used to be a banker as well, a lecturer as well. So my last employed job. So I would say in a nutshell, basically in my life, I've been an employee all my life. I've been working for people, and I thought that was actually my life journey, and I considered myself successful if I'm able to become a manager in a big corporate, and that would be my definition of success back then.
Wow. Thank you, Coach, for sharing a bit about your personal background. Coach, I just want to ask you, what brings transition from corporate to NLP, and why you did that?
Wow, that was a very, very huge thing. So just like you, Yuva, you experienced the so-called magic of it when you did that what we call the preview. Oh, yeah. So the interesting thing about my journey of being introduced to the world of NLP was I think it was in the year of 2013 or 2014, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. So we were being sent by the company as a trainer to go for the NLP practitioner certification. Okay. So when I was there and going through the training to be certified myself, that's where I noticed the transformation happen for me. I used to be a very, very angry person, and I get easily triggered. So that was who I was. So what happened is, when I did timeline therapy, which is one of my certification as well, so that's where I noticed, wow, it's like literally the part of me that was so angry, because during the training there was something that happened, and I was so angry, I kept on entertaining the emotion of the anger. I couldn't even carry on with the training because I was so busy entertaining the anger. Sometimes we're human, we are always like that. So that was where I was last time. And so happened that day, it was that day for the timeline therapy certification. So when we go through the process, right then, when I got that anger removed, straight away, I can actually go very, very calm and it's like the anger, it went off just like that. So I was like, wow, that's magical. So there's the anger, that was the very, very huge transformation. And the second one that I noticed in that class itself, I used to be a person that is so scared of dog, and I'm talking about even little puppy. So I can be scared until the extent that, you know, I see them, I will freak out, I will run away. So that is the kind of phobia that I have with dogs. But the interesting thing that came out from it is, even though that happened during the time therapy, I got that fear of that dog removed as well. And now I have a little puppy at home.
Okay, nice.
So that was very, very interesting, and totally it has been, you know, it has gone just like that. So that's where I experienced the first transformation when I actually got myself certified. That was in the context of my work previously. That was where also my first time of being involved or being introduced to the world of NLP and timeline therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Coach, wow, I mean, I didn't know you have fear of dogs.
Yeah, it was a huge fear back then, seriously. If you were to ask all my best friends, they got a shock. That's exactly what they were telling me. They were like, you tell me that you like your Shih Tzu right now, and you and you're showing me how cute is your Shih Tzu. I couldn't believe it. That was exactly what my friend was telling me. Because those people who have known me since I was young, they know by heart that I was so much afraid of dog back then. So with timeline therapy, that part of me just got removed. It wasn't any fear of dogs anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and now I really love dogs.
Wow. I mean, well, I can immediately relate. I can immediately connect to the two things you say just now. Like, you were an angry person.
Yeah.
Because I myself was an angry person.
Oh, really?
So like, I mean, like, even my own parents were terrified to see me because like, you were a hot-tempered guy and a hot-tempered, and even some people, like, you know, they avoid me for my temper. I mean, like, they know I'm a good person, but they say, oh, this hot-tempered guy.
Yeah.
And some people, like, before they know me, they hear from other perceptions about me, and they say, oh, it's a guy with temper, we should avoid him. So that's how I got lost many of all my friends. That's one. And also two, I do have fear of dogs in the past when I was young, because I was attacked by a Rottweiler.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thank God the bite was not that serious, but it cost me a little. It was traumatizing enough for me. Yeah, but then over time, like, everything changes when Prince and Ginger enter my life. Two golden retrievers.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a very huge thing.
Yeah, but now the dogs are not here because the dogs are with my brother in Australia, because because the family believe that the dogs, the two doggos have a better life over there, because due to the restriction over here.
Yeah.
So, but during when they were here, like, I felt like they are more like pets. They are more like my younger siblings. So they are part of family. Right? Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I didn't know that we share the same kind of experience before, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Coach, thank you for sharing that part of you, why you entered NLP and how NLP is important to you, and after that and you want to use it to serve others. That's a very noble cause you got. So I think, okay, now let's go to a more serious question. Okay, I believe that you are a very qualified, capable person to answer this, because you are a master trainer and you train others to become NLP coaches. So I believe you are one of the most qualified person to answer this. So the question is, what is NLP?
Good one. Now, it has to be contextualized, I would say, but in a big nutshell, I would say NLP is a set of tools, skill set, and also the mindset that we put into ourselves to achieve the success that we want in our life. So basically, NLP is using the language of our mind to connect with our deepest part of ourselves, our unconscious mind, so that we get all the available resources. Every one of us, we are born with all the available resources deep inside us. It's just that we got disconnected to how to communicate with our unconscious mind. And therefore, we only focus on the problems that we have.
Correct.
We feel worthless, useless, and we do not know how to deal with it. And therefore, we feel that we are helpless. But at the end of the day, everything that we have, that we want to have, it's already there, available for us. And that's where we, using the NLP techniques and also all the other techniques available, we teach you how to connect to your unconscious mind to access your most available resources. So at the end of the day, NLP is using the language of your mind to achieve your desired results.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Because I really like the when you say that using the resources that we already have to work on ourselves and to connect back to our unconscious mind.
Exactly.
So I really like that, because that some people, they think that, oh, okay, to solve a thing I need something externally or something from the outside to solve my internal problem. But NLP, when you mention that using something that they already have to reconnect with our unconscious mind, I find that really interesting.
Yeah, it is. And exactly what you've mentioned, that's exactly the typical mentality of what people are having out there. They always thought that they are helpless, they cannot control anything that happened to them because it's beyond their control. That's always what they mention. And therefore, they always feel that there is a need to rely on people to help them. But the more we put our hope, our wish for people to help us, at the end of the day, we are going nowhere. Because help only comes from deep inside us when we decided to help ourselves. So it's always about us, always coming from us. The key thing is, how are we going to get in touch with that resources that's available deep inside us? So that is where the pathway to connect to that part is where NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, all this come to the picture.
Wow, I really like that. We need to help ourselves to enable ourselves to help others. I really like that quote, because because if we don't help ourselves and want to help others, it's like we are doing disservice to ourselves, right?
Exactly, you're absolutely right. Because not a lot of people, I mean, you and I are born that way, in such a way that we have been conditioned to look everything externally, because our eyes are born right in front of us. So we look everything right in front of us externally. We tend to be very good at judging people's wrong, people's fault, people's behavior. Very good. We are very good at judging people. But the thing is, have we ever looked inward toward ourselves? On what is it about ourselves? Where is our gap? Where is the loophole that we need to fulfill? What is it about us that we can even find further, dig further, that we can actually achieve even better in our life? So that's the part that we do not know, because we are not being trained to do so. So that's the part that, at the end of the day, in order for us to help people to master their world, to help them, we have to know how to master our own world first.
Very true.
And that's where it's all about.
Self-mastery is always the first step to mastery of others, right?
Of course. That's always coming from self-mastery. And self-mastery involves a deep layer of learning. That is where the higher level of learning, it comes from us being conscious, being aware of who we are, what we are doing, why we are doing what we are doing, to become who we are today.
Okay, very well said, Coach. Very well said, Coach. Thank you for sharing that. My next question will be, Coach, about NLP. Is this knowledge has it been around for a long time, or just like a knowledge of the current era?
Oh, it has been here for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, we are talking about at least I'm talking about at least 4 decades.
4 decades?
At least.
Wow.
Yeah, it has been around for a long time. The question is, with the learning you got, because everyone can get the skill set, but how are you going to apply it to your world? How are you going to make it so useful, so empowering, that you don't only help yourself, but you help people around you to make it a transformative thinking? That is the bigger picture that we need to address to when it comes to the application and the learning of NLP. Yeah.
Well, I got intrigued when you say that NLP dealing with language of the mind, because on the side I also learn Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is like the one of the scriptures of Hinduism. So it's about the sermon of Lord Krishna over his comrade Arjuna. So there he mentioned that, in according to Gita, he mentioned that the mind is like a child, while the intellect is like an adult. So constantly is a tussle between the adult and the child, between intellect and the mind. So in order to control the mind, which is like like child, bring them to a candy store, they start to playing around, you can't control them. I mean, I can't say that because I'm teaching young children myself. So they can be pretty wild at times. So that's why you need the adult, the presence of the adult, in this case the presence of the intellect, to control the mind, so that they don't go wild, they don't go rambling over. So I find that pretty connected to NLP. So just my observation.
So you are there, and in fact, talking about that, you have a very good perspective to look at it. So you're right. At the end of the day, our mind sometimes runs very wild. Now, how do we know that it runs wild? Is whereby when we see, we have a lot of thoughts that it's not useful for us. For example, we think that we are useless, we are not good enough, we are not confident enough, we are not doing enough. So all these are the thoughts that always runs wild inside of us. But what happened is all this is the outcome of all the things that happened to us, or all the thoughts, all the learning that we got in the process of us growing up. And some of these thoughts that we still have deep inside of us, which I've mentioned just now, they are not useful for us to be successful in life. So those are the things that we actually constantly run at the back of our mind, and sometimes it could have run inside our unconscious mind, whereby it's the inner child that we're talking about over there.
The inner child.
So what happened is that inner child has to be trained, has to be loved, has to be taught how to get all this out of the ecosystem.
Has to be nurtured, right?
Yeah, has to be nurtured. You got it very right. That's the word. So what happened is it has to be loved, to be nurtured, to be taught, to get this out, because it's no longer useful, it's no longer relevant in the environment that they are in right now. And therefore, the conscious mind should be the parental spirit of that unconscious mind, to give all the love, all the care, all the learnings, all the positive learning in particular, to get this unconscious mind unleash its truest potential. And therefore, we, in our human bodily world, we are able to carry this body, to take the action, to be able to do whatever it takes to get the success that we deserve in our life.
I mean, also from the Gita, so we learn about there's a thing called thought flow of action. So we learn that in order to act, they have to go through 4 stages, which is vasanas. Vasana means nature. Thought. So from your nature, you create a thought. Then from a thought, you create a desire. So from desire, from the desire driven the action, drive the action. So I find it really interesting, because you mentioned just now about having the connect to the inner child, and from there, like, we can act. Use our human body to act according to the. It can be a positive thought that we have. So very true.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, my next question will be, why this? It's more like my random. This question keeps on running in my head. Like, why often negative voices appear to be stronger than positive voices?
Wow, that is a very interesting question, and you got it spot on. Why it's always the negative thoughts that's louder than the positive?
Yes.
Now, who we are in our life today, right now at this moment, is the sum of total decisions we've made all our life.
Yes.
And all those decisions that we have made, it could have been made consciously, it could have been made also unconsciously. So some of the decisions that we have made all our life, they could be an empowering one. How do we know? It's when we get the success. When we know that the university that we enrolled in got us to have that degree, and therefore we become who we are today, we are successful in a career. That's where we know the decision that we made was an empowering one. The key thing is, a lot of time we as human, we made a lot of decisions which is the limiting decision, which is not empowering one. Those are the decisions that we made majority of the time at the unconscious level. And those decisions got us stuck, got us blocked. And guess what? Every limiting decision that we made, it has a connotation of negative emotions inside. So imagine, over our years of life, how many limiting decisions that we've made. And yet it was so unconscious with us. We've the cocktails of negative emotions inside. So when this all adds up to become who we are today, anything that triggers our thoughts, and those trigger that thought that trigger the thought of the negative part of us, the voices become louder. That negative voices, that negative thoughts will become louder and louder and louder. And therefore, if there is no intervention being done over that, it's going to repeat its loop again and again and again and again.
Well, Coach, when you mentioned that, suddenly a thing appeared in my mind. It's like, I remember a Cherokee quote. Cherokee is like an ancient Red Indian tribe, Cherokee. So it's about the wolf, the wolf thing, the hungry wolf concept. So there are two wolves in a person, the good wolf or the bad wolf. So the good wolf is like, positive, determined, supportive, loving, caring. Everything positive is a positive wolf. The negative wolf is like, tired, exhausted, angry, not patient. You name it, all the negativity is a negative wolf. So which one will come stronger is the one you feed the most.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you feed more on a good wolf, you become a good wolf.
Yes.
If you feed more on a bad wolf, you get more negativity out of it.
Exactly. So when you say feed, right, that metaphor that you're using just now, the feeding in our real life world right now is the part of us that entertain that part of the thought. So I give you a simple example. When somebody is stuck in a jam, so the tendency is they're going to get crazy over it. They're going to entertain the part of them of getting frustrated, angry, stressful about that. And in fact, if they continue to entertain that part of them that is getting so frustrated and so angry with the jam, guess what? The more angrier they become. And they did notice that they actually have a choice. They have a choice of, instead of being angry and getting frustrated all over something that they couldn't change anymore because jam is there, it's already a reality.
True.
Might as well they do the best, they make the best of their time that they have inside the car by thinking what else they can do. Perhaps they can just call their loved one while still stuck in the car.
True.
Because after all, they are not going anywhere. Correct or not? So perhaps they could just open up an audiobook and just listen to the audiobook and to enhance and enrich their knowledge, rather than spending their energy and time feeding to the bad wolf that you mentioned just now. So at the end of the day, it's the choice. It's the choice of every one of us. Even when we say we don't have a choice, we already made a choice of not having a choice.
True. Yes, I think it's worth noting again. We already made a choice to not to have a choice. Wow, that's
Yep, absolutely. That's how humans behave. So we always have a choice. Even we decided to say we don't have a choice. We made a choice.
So we always have a choice.
Absolutely.
Wow, thank you, Coach. Okay, Coach. Next will be, how does the knowledge of NLP can help the victim of bullying or discrimination to come out of the victim mindset?
Good. So NLP comes a lot with a lot of skill sets and techniques. Like I mentioned, skill set and techniques is one of the many things that we learn. It's the application of that, and it's the mindset, the understanding behind that, the insights behind that that's even more important. So let's look at the I would say the more obvious application of it. So in the study of NLP, we do not only teach our students NLP, and even when I'm doing coaching, we don't only coach just based on NLP portion. We do timeline therapy, we do hypnotherapy as well, whichever that we find applicable and useful for that client at that point of time. So for the benefit of all our listeners, so let me just give a little bit of background on what timeline therapy is and what hypnotherapy is.
Okay.
So timeline therapy, it's a process or technique that we use to remove the negative emotions of humans.
Okay.
So typically we as a human, we will have negative emotions like anger, we have negative emotions like sadness, like fear, trauma. So all these are negative emotions, in which timeline therapy will come to the picture. We will actually teach our clients the way how to remove it absolutely. So that's where it releases that trapped energy from them. So that's one part. Now what about hypnotherapy? Hypnotherapy is coming from the word hypnosis plus therapy. So hypnosis It's a technique that we use, a method that we use, and we use it to connect so deep into the unconscious mind of our client, so that whatever they want to achieve, it will definitely be done at the effortless level, because it's installed at the unconscious level. It's communicated at the unconscious level. So that's what hypnotherapy is all about. So back to your question, how would be the application, the usage of what we have over here, help the victims, the bully victims, and all this, yeah. So usually, typically, I'll say, people who got bullied, the negative emotion which will surface will be maybe angry towards the person who bullied them, maybe sad over the fact that why they couldn't fight for themselves, and it could be a fear of even having new relationship with new people in the future, because they do not know when are they going to be bullied again. And they might also have negative emotion of hurt, because it was so hurtful. Some of them, they are being bullied by the person closest to them. So hurt will come into the picture. And it could also invoke the negative emotion of guilt. They could feel guilty because maybe they got bullied themselves and ended up they become bullied themselves. They could be that kind of people, because it's like a vicious cycle. If all these negative emotions are not being removed, are not being intervened, all right, at the deeper layer. So therefore, with the NLP, whereby we actually look closer to what is it that is inside the unconscious mind that cause all these kinds of negativity to come out, we will also use timeline therapy to remove all this first. That's the first layer. And on top of that, what other things that surface from there, we will see whichever method or techniques from the NLP that is useful for them, and that's where we will actually use it together with them. So to find out what are the others available methods, available techniques that can be used in different situation, different scenario, that is where NLP practitioner certification covers all this in details when we are certifying our students.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Thank you for sharing that. Well, since we're talking about bullying, off camera, like I heard that you do have some experience being bullied. So if you don't mind, or if you feel like open enough to share in the podcast, like can you please share one such experiences you had in the past being bullied?
I remember that was the time. This is something that is so hurtful to me when I was having that experience before. So I still remember this was the time when I was in my previous company, in the corporate. So what happened is the company has this how do you call that? Let me see. It is this a performance show, right? Performance show, whereby my position at that point of time, my expertise can be used for that show. However, it wasn't only my responsibility, because number one, I was being informed very last minute, and number two, I was actually having another training and also another exam they have to go through, which is related to my work. Everything was clashing at the same timeline. So therefore, I rejected. And in fact, not only me, there's another person that can do the same job for that performance. So what happened is, because the other person was outstation, I'm the only one available in KL. Somehow or rather, I have to take up that job. So that is fine. So what happened is, in that performance show that I need to take up, I'm not only a coordinator, I'm not only an advisor, I become the runner as well.
Wow.
So what do I mean by runner? So I just give you a perspective. It was a fashion show, fashion musical show actually. So what happens is, a fashion musical show. So by right, the external party, the external consultant should be supplying them with the clothes, with the attire. But somehow or other, it wasn't enough. And I have to sort out from my own friends. I was so lucky, so blessed that I have friends like that who help me, alright? So they just lend those branded clothes, branded dresses and gowns for me, just like that. But the thing is, I will have to travel up and down the town just to get it from my friend. So that was one part. That's why I mentioned to you just now, I have to become the runner. That's all okay. Until the day of the event itself, basically from A to Z, I was the one that go through together with the performers to organize this fashion musical. I was the one that covered from A to Z. I work on weekends, which is not covered in my worksheet.
Wow.
So I work on weekends, I work day in, day out, and on the day of event, that is where it got even worse because I remember I woke up around 5 or 6 in the morning to prepare myself, to get them prepared and all this. So I was so busy with all this organizing and taking care of the performers. I didn't have time to eat from the morning till the event ended. We are talking about, I woke up at 5 plus. I think I just had my simple breakfast around that. And then the event ended around 5 to 6 in the afternoon. In the evening, I'll say.
Wow.
And I didn't get anything to eat.
Wow.
And not only that, I didn't get water as well. So yeah, it was so busy and everything is just so packed up. I didn't have time for that. So that was all fine. That is still not the most hurtful part because what happened is when it comes to all these things happening, right, I sacrificed myself a lot, and actually by that day I already fell sick. I already felt my throat hitty. I know the cough is coming and I can feel my whole body hitty. I know the fever is coming. So what happened is by the end of that performance, my boss said that the credit of the whole event is not only given to me. It has to be given to another colleague who was literally doing nothing.
Wow.
So it was so hurtful when I got to know the news. I cried and cried and cried and cried. So I cried so much. I cried deeply inside my heart. I cried it out. I called my friend. I couldn't take it anymore. I cried. But I have to put out a brave face and went up to the stage to share the stage with this person who was basically doing nothing. So that was part one. It's already very hurtful for me. And like I mentioned, I know that I was going to fall sick, right? True enough, on my way back, we were in the same van together with my colleague. All of them know that I was falling sick because I told them. The interesting thing is by the next day when I was really fall sick and I already applied MC, nobody asked me how was I. Not a message, nothing. So this is one of the example of bully that I got in my workplace. So another one that also made me feel so hurtful. There was another year after this particular event. There was another year that I got hospitalized because of food poisoning. So in our company, there's this policy whereby we actually have the budget. The company, the department has the budget to send, like fruit basket or bouquet of flowers to whoever got admitted to the hospital. So what happened is, I was under the impression that I was hospitalized. It's already being informed to the department, to the staff, to the bosses, and all this. I was under the impression that there will be bouquet of flowers or maybe a fruit basket that was delivered to me. I was so hoping for that kind of care. It's not because of the material. It's not because of the materialistic or the physical item. It's because of the thoughts and the care that I was longing and yearning for. But I was in the hospital for 4 days and I was still hoping and hoping and hoping for this. It never came.
Oh my.
Yeah. So these are some of the examples on how I was bullied in the workplace. So bullying does not necessarily mean it has to be physical. Emotional bully, it can be as traumatic, it can be as hurtful, and it can be as depressing as how it could be. Yeah.
Oh my coach, I'm so sorry you have to go through all that.
It's alright. Honestly speaking, now that I can share it out to you, it does not give me that, does not only give me that releasing of attachment. The most important thing is I feel empowered to share it out. Because, number one, because of all these things that happens to me, that it makes me to realize what is my worth over here.
Yeah.
How much do I worth to be still in this environment whereby nobody appreciates me? no matter how hard I try to fit in, no matter how hard I try to be hardworking, to work everything out, to be the best employee possible. So it got me thinking, it got me reassessing my alignment in my life. And that's where, from being a corporate employee for all over my life, remember I was mentioning to you just now, to me, my definition of success, being able to become a manager in a big corporate, to me, that is successful. That is literally successful to me. Yeah? But it got me to reassess myself at that point of time. Do I really get that chance? Do I really have that even? So I noticed that it could never be possible anymore. And therefore, I took a leap of faith and I started my own business. And here I am sharing this with you. So that's why, honestly speaking, I have to thank all these people that come to my life, to thank with all these learning experiences that I was being thrown to. Because by going through that journey is where I come out from the other side. Is where I got into my own realization. And that is where I find my true calling in life, whereby to do what I do today, what I do right now, to help people out from the situation of being trapped as they are in right now. And that's important to me.
Very true. Well, Coach, I mean, I truly appreciate your willingness to share your story. I mean, what you've gone through is no joke. It's definitely rough. I mean, why I can see that from what I heard, the story that I heard, that your previous working environment was highly toxic. I can say that.
Yeah, perhaps it could be. But anyway, it's our choice. Remember, we always make a decision, we always make a choice, right? So we think for ourselves and we make a choice. Do we want to continue staying there and absorb all the toxicity? Or it's time to say stop the toxicity and time to move on. So there's always a choice. There's always an option available.
Yeah, I mean, I got a very interesting if question, Coach, if you don't mind, can I ask you?
Sure.
Let's say if you have a time machine, you could bought a time machine. If you could bought a time machine, time machine. So if you bought a time machine, like the movie Ant-Man with time machine.
Yes.
So let's say if you could have a similar time machine, you go to the time machine, you go back to the time where you got bullied. Now, having learned what you have learned, how would you have dealt with the issue?
Wow, I love that question. I really, really love that. Yeah. Okay, which one would that first? Coming to the part of the fashion, the musical first. Yeah. If I were to be going back there, will I do what I did? The answer is yes. I will still do. I will still go and do it. I will still coordinate. I will still, what do you call that? Go together the process of it together with all the performers. I'm happy with that. I will still go and do it again. But what would I have done differently is number one, I will manage the expectation. Things that I can do, I will say, this is my boundary. This is what I can do and this is what I'm supposed to do. The next or the rest of the thing which is not within that area responsibility of mine, I will say a no to that. Because I noticed that the reason I got myself in such a situation is because I did not know how to put a boundary to myself. And boundary is important, yeah. The more we know where is our boundary, the more effective is that communication. So that responsibility comes from me. I would have put my boundary. And number two, when I know where is my boundary, that's where I know when and where to say no. I used to be a yes woman or a yes girl, so to speak. So everything is yes, I do, but I would do until the extent that I got burned out. And that's where all the depressive state come to the picture. It does not worth it. It is just not worth it. So that's where, if you were talking about that fashion musical, I will still do whatever it is. Two things I will take away with me: boundary and the ability to say no.
I mean, many people do not know the most empowering word is a 2-letter word. No. It's not money, it's not wealth, it's not rich, it's the word no. Because when you say no, you are stamping your boundary over there. So you say, okay, this is my boundary, I will not let anything to bring me beyond that limit.
Exactly.
So many people do not know that.
Exactly. Many people do not know that, or some people, even they know that, they are afraid to say no. Because they are afraid that they might be sidelined, they might be an outcast, And that is also another learning. Now that you say that, I also got to learn that sometimes you just don't belong to where you don't belong.
Correct.
And it's okay. Find your own tribe. Build your own tribe if you need to.
Yeah.
It's fine. Build your own community. There must be some place in the world that is for you, and there must be some people that is just right for you at the right time, who will appear right there, right in front of you. You will have that.
Oh, that's really. I mean, when I heard that, I feel like there's like rush of blood to my hair. I feel like my hair and the hair on my arm raising, because do not stop until you find your tribe. So when I heard that, I was like no one is ever a social outcast. There will be some people who connects to you either physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. So yeah, that's very, very true. I mean, that's so people out there, if you feel alone, you feel like you're being sidelined for who you are, don't feel bad. Just time is a wonderful teacher. Time is a wonderful teacher. So time and patience. So give it some time, give some patience, and somehow you will find your own tribe or your own group, which you can feel comfortable in. You can thrive in. You can feel. You can grow in.
Yes.
And without any judgment.
Exactly, and you can also confide in, and that's important.
Yeah.
If we have people that supports us, that understand and accepts us, the keyword is accepts us truly for who we are.
Yes.
That is what we call our support system.
Yeah.
And we always have to remember that no matter where we are, who we are, we always have support system. The keyword is, do we reach out or not? And that's important. At the end of the day, like I mentioned, we always have a choice. Do we make a decision to reach out for help? Do we make a decision to share with people our struggle, our worry? Do we make a decision to find the right person to give us enlightenment, to give us insight, to help us?
Yes.
It's all about reaching out. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, very true. Yes. I mean, Coach, thank you so much for this wonderful sharing. I felt like I'm in a lecture of your NLP training. Just like talking to you is like, wow, it's like knowledge sharing. Like, yeah, that's the name. That's the purpose of this podcast, knowledge sharing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. My next question will be okay. Now going back to the NLP part, can someone do a timeline therapy on their own?
Oh, that is a very important question, and good that you bring it out. Yeah. The simple and direct answer, no.
No.
It has to go through a certification, like I mentioned, and that's where I'm certified to train my students to be a practitioner. So if you are certified as a timeline therapy practitioner, yes, you can do it.
Okay.
If not, you won't have the knowledge, you won't have the understanding behind, you won't have the setting, and it will not be ecology for you to do it without knowing what's the real purpose behind. Yeah.
Okay, about timeline therapy, so now we know that if you're not trained for it, it's not advisable to do it on your own.
Yeah.
But once you are trained, once you go through the practitioner certificate, you are certified, then you can do it on your own. Now, my next extension of the question is, once you are certified or trained, can you do it on the person that you love? For example, like your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your child, because like there seems to be a little thing going on, because when you do something on the person that you love the most, your close circle, there seems to be like a little bias there, because right. you have the affection factor
and
there.
You have the attachment with that as well. The emotional attachment is there. So therefore, it would not be advisable, especially in the context of coaching. We are not advising. It is not advisable, It is not advisable to be coaching people that is close to you, especially when there is a strong emotional attachment. It would be best to be done with a person who is actually, I would say, independent in terms of relationship, so that the boundary, remember we mentioned about the boundary, the boundary is not broken and it's clean and clear. Yeah. And that is ecology. It's ecology for the person being coached. It's ecology for the coach to bring the best out of this coaching as well.
Very true. Because Coach, when I go through my coaching certificate from J Shetty Certificate School, my mentor said that it's not advisable for you to be a coach for the person which is close to you, like your friend,
your spouse, because like when you become a coach to the person that close to you, you tend to think, okay, this is the best action. So from coaching, it becomes an advice.
Exactly.
So so when you advise, you're no longer a coach.
Exactly, you're right. And the thing is, sometimes unconsciously, because we are so emotionally attached with the person that we are close with, we actually take their baggage or burden and we carry that as if it was ours.
Yes.
So that is very, very, it is just breaking the boundary, number one, and number two, it breaks the limit of how successful the coaching should be. Because we are unconsciously taking the baggage of that person who is supposed to be coached to become our own baggage, because we care too much for them. We get ourselves sucked into their situation, and that is not good. That is not going to help anyone anywhere at any point of time as well. And therefore, it has to be a clean and clear boundary.
Clean and clear boundary. That's very true. Okay, so since you mentioned about boundary, my next question will be: is NLP truly for all, or is there are some people or certain group which may not benefit from NLP?
Good question. NLP is for you only when you decide you want to develop yourself for the betterment of you and people around you, and you are committed to do it. That is the very, very important element. So you have to decide for yourself, and you have to ask for yourself, are you the one that wants success in your life? Are you the one that always look for betterment in your life? And are you the one that believe in personal development of yourself so that you can develop people around you to be even better? Are you aware, and also are you prepared for transformative thinkings that will come together when you get yourself involved in the world of NLP? If you can answer yes to all these questions very, very confidently, then yes, NLP will be for you.
Okay. Now my next question will be like it's about, okay, this question may or may not place you in trouble, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Because like because you know, in the end, NLP is like an instrument, like a tool. So people can use it for good purpose, and people may use it for bad purpose. So we call it as misuse or abuse of NLP, because NLP is a wonderful knowledge, as you say. It's like dealing with the language of the mind and all that. So is there any instance that NLP can be used for a bad purpose?
Now, since you are talking about that, you have actually got me to want to share something very important.
Okay.
When we certify our students for NLP, the tool set, the techniques, these are easy. Those things are easy. Those things are easy to be taught. Those things are also easy to be learned.
Okay.
But the intention, it's even more important.
Yeah.
The proper frame of mind that you put to yourself, so that you always come from the right flow and always come from the sincere intention. It supersedes beyond every other thing. And therefore, in our school, what we do is we will interview and filter our students to make sure that fulfills their intention. Then only we will take you in as our students, because we want to make sure that the students that we produce from our school comes out from the other side with transformative thinking. And with that transformation that they have got, they transfer all this energy to the people around them that deserve their help, that also need their help. The world need more people like you and I to reach out to them. There are a lot of people who do not have the access to the means or resources to get them out of the troubles that they are in. And with that intellectual property that we have for ourselves, our job is to help them with the rightful intention. And that's what we focus in our school. And always remember, at the end of the day, you always make a choice. You always make an option. You always have an option. So it's you who decide. You have learned whatever you need to learn. What is it that you're going to use for? For what purpose do you want it? So make a choice out of it.
So basically, the nutshell is like, you can learn the techniques, but the most importantly is your intention, the purpose, why you're using the why you're using the NLP for.
Exactly.
And also like and it goes back to what you said earlier, the action is like you always have a choice.
Of course.
So
you always have a choice.
Yeah, very true, very true. Okay, my next question will be alright. Okay, just thinking of the question.
Yeah, sure.
because like we have talked a lot.
I think a lot of things surface from your mind as well.
Yes.
You need it to be addressed to, right?
Correct.
Good. Just ask them all out.
Okay. Well, okay. Another like maybe a sensitive question is about because now we are doing a recording in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my personal observation.
Yeah.
You can say you can disagree if you say so. If also Malaysians tend to have a negative perception towards coaches. So I think they have a little stigma against the coaches. They say that, for example, let's say, okay, I'm going to be the coach. I'm going to work on my mental health. Say, there's something wrong with you. You mental, or you have some, you need to see a shrink. So they sometimes they link the word coach with a shrink, psychologist. So there's a little stigma which I notice here. So do you observe that, and what can we do about it?
Good. That's a very good question. Good observation as well. Yeah, you're right. Some people associate with having to see somebody with regards to your mental health equals to that person going mental, so to speak. Yeah. So that is a stigma, and that's what we call a complexity of equalizing two unrelated experience together. And a lot of people like to complicate stuff. Life is easy, life is simple. If you want to simplify it, again, it's about your choice.
Right.
So what happened is, at the end of the day, it's just like how you see Dr. What?
Okay.
You have a runny nose. You can choose to take your own Panadol or your own flu medicine that you have in your home. You might have bought it from the pharmacy nearby, so that's your choice. So you do it in your self-treatment basis.
Yeah.
But if that flu got worse, it's the time for you to take some professional advice. Therefore, you go and see a clinic, a GP, what we call a general practitioner, a doctor in the clinic. But if the flu still does not go away and it now turns into even worse, alright, it turns into your headache, it turns into your wheezing, so it becomes worse and worse, you need to go for a specialist. So it got escalated one part by one part depending on the severity and the intensity of the problem. But does that mean just because you fall sick, you do not need to let people know that you fall sick?
Very true.
You have to reach out for help. And it's the same exactly with mental health.
Yeah.
Just because you have certain thing that's blocking you and you need some help does not equalize you to being a crazy person.
Yeah.
It depends on the intensity of where you are, and it depends on which kind of people that needs to come to your aid when you need it, depending on the context that you are in. And if we get the right help, what's wrong with anything that we have such an issue to deal with? That's it. The key thing is how people put the stigma on us is their choice. And some people build up that stigma because they are unaware, they are uneducated about that understanding about the importance of addressing your mental health. It's their journey, it's their options, and it's their decision. Question is, if we are the one that is being put with that stigma, what is our options available?
Very true.
Do we want to address that for the benefit of our own self? Or do we want to succumb to their judgment just because we want to so-called condone to the social norm?
Yeah.
So that's where, again, we always have a choice.
We always have a choice. Very true. Very true. And also another my observation is that like I'm not sure all, but some Malaysians they prioritize on the wrong things. For example, let's say if a coach on average charges how much your service? They say they give you maybe 100 ringgit per session. Say, wow, 100 ringgit so expensive lor. But then that same person have no issues spending 50 ringgit or up to 100 ringgit in some cases on Starbucks, on food, expensive food, fine dining. So they tend to focus on something which like give them pleasure on short term, but in the end the pain will come again, and they will splurge again on this pleasure. So it's like a vicious cycle, It's like it's like you cut yourself, so you're just masking the wound. You're not healing the wound. You're masking the wound.
And the wound get deeper and deeper.
So instead, if they spend that same amount on working on themselves, the process can be long, it's expensive, but the effect is long lasting.
Yes, it is permanent. It is, you're right. So that's why at the end of the day, remember you were asking me question, is it NLP for everyone? again, it boils back to you. What do you prioritize in your life? Remember, it's your journey. It's our own journey. So if that person prioritizes a Starbucks over some other thing that is even more important for their own self-development, they have already made a choice. And always remember, we are responsible towards whatever decision that we made in our life. So therefore, you pay the bills for the price you have to pay of whatever decision you make.
Very true.
Just pay the bill. Just pay the price. If you're okay to pay the price, don't whine. Don't complain.
Yeah.
And if you know that you are not okay with the price anymore because it's too much, the price tag is too high for you to even continue paying for that price of what you have done, time to look for help.
True. So in a nutshell, do not complain, because you don't have the right to complain, because as you say, you made the choice, and as what you say, whatever thing you have, the choice of action, you have to pay for it. The cost of action, no?
It's always us because the responsibility lies on us. Nobody put a gun on us and tell us that you have to make a decision. Okay, you have to follow this decision that I want you to make. Nobody. We are the one that put ourselves in that position to make the decision. And yet we end up blaming other people and whining and complaining. It goes nowhere. Again, like you mentioned, the vicious cycle, that's where the vicious cycle begins. So that's where be responsible towards your own actions. Pay for your own price. If that price tag is too high, reach out for help. Okay, alright. So I mean, we have talked a lot. Well, I think there's a lot more we can share, but maybe we can leave it for a second episode if you're willing, and if the audience have asked for it. So before we end the podcast, there's one more thing that let's go, because we are talking on many serious things. Let's go into little fun stuff. Okay, this is called the quick fire question, where the only one will answer. Okay. So I give you two options. You just choose one. Okay. The first one. Corporate or NLP? NLP.
That's quick one. Number two, Shih Tzu or Golden Retriever?
Definitely Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu, okay. Thirdly, mental health or higher salary?
Mental health. Yeah, one thing for sure.
Okay. Alright. Okay. Do you prefer a better work-life balance, or you prefer to, fame?
Fame, as in being famous.
Yeah.
Can I elaborate a little bit, because this one connects to something that's deep inside me?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I used to be very hungry. I used to want fame. I used to be that person. I used to be yearning for fame. I used to be so hoping that, I got myself published in the renowned magazines, being interviewed by some big broadcaster, big stations, radio stations. I used to want all that, and I used to also dream that I want to go on stage and take all the big awards, so that my face is published everywhere, everybody knows. I used to be so hunger for that kind of fame. But I come to realization that when your intention is right, you help the people, it doesn't matter how small or how big is your help, because that's a label you put. One person you help is one life saved. So it doesn't matter. So the answer is obviously very clear. Fame is no longer important. It's never about fame anymore.
But you know what, Coach? Let's say if this interview goes viral, maybe you might achieve that. You never know.
I don't know. That's why I don't mind. To me, it's more about reaching out to other people. If my story can inspire somebody out there, only that one person that got inspired, I've done my job well. I've done my job well. Okay.
The next one is TGIF or enjoyable work environment.
I would love enjoyable work environment. Because I love my work so much, seriously speaking.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I think Jason Mraz say in one of his songs, Everything is Sound, you don't need a vacation when work is enjoyable.
Yeah, I totally. Find your calling, answer your calling. Work is no longer work. I love that question. This is fun.
Yeah. So
Coach Pauline, thank you so much for being the podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm honored to have your presence here, and also thank you for agreeing to be in my podcast. I can't thank you enough, because I'm just so blessed and grateful to have you in my podcast, in my humble podcast.
Honestly speaking, I'm equally humbled, I'm equally honored, and I'm so thankful as well that you invited me.
Thank you so much, Coach. So before we go, can you please tell to the audience how the audience can connect to you?
Oh, alright. So you can connect me. You can look through me from my website www.paulinenlp.com, and you can reach out to me in my Facebook as well, Pauline Chan. So I think this will be the 2 weeks. Can I also share with them the contact number?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So if you need to reach out to me from WhatsApp or give me a private call, you can call me at 017-2929-276. So I think these are the 3 channels which will be widely available for people to reach out to me.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Well, most probably when you're listening, by the time you listen to this podcast, you might not have a pencil or paper with you, and you might not remember the numbers that Coach Pauline just shared. So no worry, we will share all the details in the description of the podcast and also in the video. Okay, Coach?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Coach, any last words you want to? Any parting words you want to say?
So I would like to share with all of you, life is always a journey, and journey never stops. Learning never stops as well, as long as we're still in this journey called life. And therefore, we always have a choice. Make a choice, pay for the price, be responsible for that, and if the price tag is too high to pay, reach out for help.
Yep. Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much, Coach. And I like that she repeats the word choice many times, because I would like to end this podcast with a very wonderful quote from the winning speech, Oscar winning speech from A.R. Rahman for Slumdog Millionaire. He said, "In all my life, I have 2 choices. I choose love, and I'm here."
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. At the end of the day, love connects and unites all of us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Coach. Thank you so much. I'm so humbled to have you here. Thank you so much.
Same goes. Likewise. Thank you so much.
So, dear audience, I will come to the end of the episode, and I will see you in the next episode. Okay. Till then, take care, stay learning, and have fun. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
See you soon.
Bye bye.